Here we go, let's start this show. Steelers by the Lambs. Time to get that day. James, Cody, Nick, and Jill on the mic. It's about to get real. Keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe. It's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Jill from Ohio. Jill, how you doing on this wonderful, kind of rainy, kind of dreary Wednesday?
It is pretty dreary where I'm at too, but I've got a nice icy mango. Thank you, James. So pleased that I have this where I'm from, where I live at. So this is quite a Wednesday treat, let me tell you. So, doing pretty well though. As you can see, I'm setting up for the Steeler game tomorrow. Got my decorations and I'm ready to go. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Glad to be on to this portion of the day. No more work stuff for the day. It doesn't feel like work, it's a fun thing doing the podcast with you guys. So always enjoy it. Unfortunately, Nick and Cody unable to join us this evening, but we'll speak on their behalf on what they have left for us. But we're going to get into the show here and kind of talk about what's going on, the comings and goings, Steelers transactions. The first thing being Pittsburgh still not really saying exactly what's going on with Miles Killebrew yet. Kind of an eerie feeling where it's probably not good. Yeah. Only thing we've heard is significant knee injury. We don't know to what extent yet, but they did bring in a gentleman by the name of George Odom with a pretty extensive special teams resume. Was a first-team All-Pro in 2020, a second-team All-Pro in 2022, all for special teams, not for his defensive play. He's a defensive back, they're calling him, but I believe he's kind of like a safety. And has been a personal protector for the punter before. So
there's some potential there is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Seems like an emergency plan is in place.
Yep.
Joe and I were talking before we started recording here, kind of skeptical that they're going to be able to get somebody like this on the team and ready to go for the game tomorrow against the Bengals.
And it makes us sad that we don't have Sebastian Castro anymore on the practice squad, because this would be his time to shine.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we don't have him anymore. So,
yeah,
like you said, James, hopefully, this is week 2 for him. So we're looking at one more week where he potentially, if he's put on their practice squad, we can snag him back up.
Yeah. So, the official rule on that is when you steal somebody off of another team's practice squad, they have to be on your active roster for 3 weeks. So after 3 weeks, if they're trying to do something sneaky, like put them on their own practice squad, he could then be stolen off of their practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to keep a close eye on the transactions here after this upcoming weekend's games, because that'll be a third week. So maybe, just maybe, that's why they haven't made a move here yet with George Odom. Maybe they're keeping an eye out to see, hey, do they possibly try to sneak him onto their practice squad? Can we steal him back, put him on our 53? And then it could be a plan of the future, possibly with Sebastian Castro again. That's just us speculating. Just to be clear, there's no indication anywhere that this is going to happen.
No hard evidence of any of that. But
this is us tinfoil hatting it, just like they do on Steelers Depot. Things wrapped a little too tightly right now.
Listen, we've got to give our thoughts somewhere, right?
Absolutely. And if it comes true, you got to give us credit for having an idea.
This does open up because they put Malik Harrison on the 21-day opening, right? So we think that this is their potential move to hopefully solve some of the problem of Killebrew's absence.
Absolutely. Another guy with some special teams experience, can cover punts, cover kicks. A little bit better as far as a defensive player. He's a very good run stopper, which coincidentally, that's kind of worked itself out after he's no longer on the active roster.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that has a lot more to do with how well these guys are playing up front. Derek Harmon really solidifying the defensive front unit, and Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson just playing out of their minds right now. So thank God for both of those dudes.
Honestly. And y'all, I do have to say, y'all were right on the last show about who my game ball would go to. It's absolutely Patty Q. Had himself a game, and I'm looking for again this week. So
he did. I think he's primed for it. We're going to see here, but yeah, good opportunity with this team and the way they attack defenses. So into the injury report we go. That's always the next topic here on these pre-game shows. So the Steelers side of things, as far as official game statuses, Calvin Austin's still out with that shoulder injury. Not a big surprise. We kind of assumed he'd miss this game as well. The next game would be the one I would look at as a possibility of him possibly coming back. Brand new to the injury list here is Deshaun Elliott. They gave him a non-injury related vet/personal reason for missing and calling him questionable for the show. Typically that means something happening in their personal life outside of football. So wishing him the best. Hopefully there's nothing serious going on there and he's still able to play, and whatever situation is going on in his life is nothing major and everything works out for the best. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Miles Killebrew officially out with the knee. Again, we still don't know what the actual injury is, but all of us kind of assuming the worst there. And then they're calling Malik Harrison questionable with his knee. Again, he's still technically on injured reserve, but working his way back.
Right.
As far as other people, a lot of guys got rest days this week. DK Metcalf did, but he practiced full on Wednesday. Jalen Ramsey practiced full. Aaron Rodgers practiced full. Darius Slay practiced full. And then TJ Watt full. Cam Hayward full. So everybody that got time off this week outside of those people, it seems as though it was nothing other than just giving them some rest to try to get them healthy and honestly not sore anymore, because you just played a game Sunday. You're playing another one Thursday. Not uncommon to still be sore from that last matchup. So hopefully that helps those guys rest.
Amen. And well, I think a positive in that direction is a lot of those guys didn't play a lot of the defensive snaps. I think they played about half of the defensive snaps. So by quarter 4 of the Browns game, they were resting. So that's a positive in our direction for Thursday. Hopefully less soreness and more active. So
absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was a really good move by the Steelers coaching staff in that game. Once they got up by a couple of scores, we saw Asezi Otomewo getting snaps for the first time this season. We saw a lot of Jack Sawyer on that last drive. There wasn't really anything they could do like depth as far as safeties and stuff, because whoever was healthy was already on the field. Same with corners, because guys got banged up a lot in that game. Ramsey was kind of on a pitch count. Slay missed a little bit of time with what looked like a shoulder injury. A couple times Porter went down.
Porter kept coming in and out.
He came back every time.
He did.
So we'll give him credit on that. But on to the Bengals side of things. They've got a pretty serious list. I don't have an official game status on any of these guys as to whether or not they're out or just what it may be quite yet. But here we go. First off, guard Dylan Fairchild with a knee issue was a full participant Wednesday. I would expect him to play then. Tight end Mike Gesicki with a pectoral did not participate both Tuesday and Wednesday. Also did not on Monday. That is a very bad sign. I would expect him to miss. Trey Hendrickson, the defensive end, their best defensive player, with a hip injury, hasn't practiced all week. So that would be probably pretty unlikely for him to play as well. Defensive tackle B.J. Hill. He got a rest day. It looks like non-injury related, so I would expect him to be good enough to go. Tanner Hudson, the tight end, who would probably be the backup behind Gesicki with a concussion. He has not practiced yet this week. If he just suffered that this last weekend, there's no chance he's going to play. Just not enough time to go through the protocol. You have to practice in a limited fashion and then a full fashion before you're cleared. So he doesn't even have a limited under his belt yet, which means he is definitely not playing. Wide receiver Charlie Jones with a rib injury. He did not participate at all this week. I guess there's probably a possibility if it's just bruised ribs, if it's something broken, I would expect him to miss, but we don't really know the specifics on that. But it's a bad sign that he hasn't practiced all week. Marius Mims, one of the starting offensive tackles, has an ankle injury, but was a full participant all week, so I would expect him to play. Guard Lucas Patrick with a calf injury. He was full all week as well, so he should be playing. And then the first round rookie Shamar Stewart, the defensive end for them with an ankle injury, but he's been a full participant all week also. So I would also expect him to play. So,
do they practice? Will they practice today? Because I think they practice at night, which is why we might not have game eligibility.
A lot of times the day before practice is almost like a walkthrough.
Okay.
So they don't even really do anything because they don't want anybody getting injured.
Well, right.
But it's so tough on a short week because you don't know how much of this is estimated as far as the injuries and how much is them actually missing practice.
Right.
So very, very difficult for us to predict on what the heck is going on on their injury list. But that paired with their depth chart is kind of going to give us a little bit of a clue as to what to expect. So that's kind of the next direction we go here, unless there's anything you want to talk on any of those injured guys, anything important popping into your head there.
No, I mean, I really hope that we have Elliott playing on Thursday or tomorrow. Tomorrow. Just because we saw the impact of when he's on the field and our defense is finally like playing like the actual unit that we know that they can be. You know, we're seeing lots of posts about how it's the steel curtain again, and they're finally stepping into a well-oiled machine is what they look like. And so to have him questionable has me slightly concerned. But I'm hopeful that our depth will be able to make up for that. So
I'm with you on that. I'm very concerned about that because the safeties behind him have been very hot and cold.
Yes.
So you have at least some hope knowing that Jalen Ramsey's there and he can play a little bit of safety, but how much are they going to want to pull him off of corner with this wide receiver room?
Well, and we still don't even know, like, yes, he did play all of Sunday, but you never know with hamstrings. Like, look at Joey Porter, who took weeks to come back, and how Ramsey was able to take just a week in his back. So I'm just leery. I'm a little leery.
Now, technically, he got 2 because of the bye.
That's true.
It was a decent amount of rest, but you're right. It is rare for somebody to come back that quickly from a hamstring.
Yeah.
So it either was a really, really minor hamstring or this dude's part Wolverine.
I like that one. You know what? Let's go with that. Perfect.
Would not be surprised if his bones are made of adamantium. Just saying he plays out of his mind.
Perfect.
So on to guys who are definitely not made of adamantium, because this is an injury list that's pretty serious for the Bengals. Their starting QB Joe Burrow might be Mr. Glass, but he is out once again for an extended amount of time. Jake Browning was starting, but the Bengals then made the trade for Joe Flacco, who is not even listed on their depth chart yet because he's not been on the team that long. So Joe
I just refreshed and he showed up on mine. So
okay, good.
Just
So obviously we're going to see Joe Flacco. By his estimation, he's played against the Steelers in the mid-20s. He said somewhere between 20 and 30 times in his career, which sounds right with all the time he's spent with the Ravens and then a little bit of time with the Browns as well. So we're going to get to see him. The comments from Mike Tomlin. Did you see what Mike Tomlin said about this?
Oh my gosh, yes. I see Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, you don't get that too often. Usually he just kind of stays out of it and says, ask a general manager. I'm not going to give you any input on this. But Mike Tomlin literally said that Browns general manager must know something that I don't know, because I can't imagine looking at someone and valuing them so highly to have them as my starting quarterback at the beginning of the year and then trading them to a division opponent mid-season.
If it was anybody, if it was the NFC or like just AFC or NFC that we're not playing this year, that would at least make sense. I should say they, because I am not affiliated with the Browns, but for it to be a literal division rival, it's one of the most Browns thing you could do.
And not even major compensation. They literally gave up a 6th round pick to get a 5th round pick back.
Yeah.
Again, really dumping everything they can into this upcoming draft, it looks like. I mean, if anybody's gearing up to try to have as many picks as humanly possible, for next year's draft, it's the Browns.
Yeah.
They're really loading up with everything they can to try to make sure that they have the ammunition to move up if necessary, or just take 30 guys in this draft and reset their entire roster.
You know what?
So,
Clean house. I respect it if that's true.
no, honestly, if that's what they're doing, it's probably a pretty good idea because this roster is a mess for them right now. But onto the Bengals roster, which parts of this roster is an absolute mess as well, and we'll get to that. But where it's not a mess is the wide receiver core, one of the top talented wide receiver cores in the entire NFL. It's either the Vikings or it's the Bengals. Take your pick, whoever you talk to. But Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on the opposite side, these guys are incredibly talented. Andre Yosevich as the number 3. Charlie Jones gets some playing time as their 4. And then even Jermaine Burton as the other wide receiver. It's a very, very talented group. So the wide receivers, very, very, very skilled. When you're looking at the tight end room, Drew Sample listed as their starter with Mike Gesicki as the number 2. 3 guys listed as the number 3 tight end. I don't think we need to talk about all of those guys. So it looks like Drew Sample will be the weapon that they're choosing to go against Pittsburgh this upcoming week. Running back room, Chase Brown, a talented back who just really hasn't had any room to run this year.
Nope.
With Samaje Perine backing him up and Taj Brooks being their number 3 running back. I feel like he might be one of the rookies. It was a huge rookie class this year. Beyond that, their offensive line has just been a mess for them this season so far. Left tackle Orlando Brown, I don't know if he's on the injured reserve or what, but their offensive line is not holding up well. Left guard Dylan Fairchild, I believe he was on the injury report. Center being Ted Karras. Right guard Jalen Rivers, and right tackle Amarius Mims, who was another one of those Georgia offensive tackles who is extremely athletic, but just very, very raw in his abilities, hand placement, footwork, all the stuff that you need to be a top-tier offensive tackle. Super raw in all those categories. He's the right tackle. This is the guy that TJ Watt would be lining up against all game long. This is once again a matchup that I definitely love to see. I imagine that they're going to double team him with a tight end quite a bit,
I would assume.
which is going to leave that other side one-on-one opportunities for Mr. Nick Herbig, for Mr. Alex Highsmith, who I would think is going to be super motivated right now because he sees what Nick Herbig's doing. And if you don't want to lose your job, if you don't want to lose minutes, man, you better amp your game up as well. Not that Alex Highsmith is doing a bad job this season. I think he's doing pretty well. He even got another half sack in this last game, but Nick Herbig's playing out of his mind.
Out of his mind. He's incredibly talented. And I know there's lots of discussion around like snap count between Highsmith and Herbig. And I'm like, ride it out for as long as you can. Like split their snap count because we're utilizing both tools that we have. I mean, I know this is Highsmith's. No, it's it's one of their contract ends, right? This year, potential with signing them, or
I want to say this is year 3 for Herbig.
Okay.
And I think it's year 2 of a 3-year extension for Highsmith. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm not 100% certain on that. I know TJ just got the deal, and I know Alex got his a previous year, but I don't know if it was 1 year previous or 2 years previous. But he got that deal that was like $20 million a year over, and I want to say it was only like 3 years.
Okay.
So I think that we're going to be in a situation where they expire at a similar time.
Mm-hmm.
You look like you might have just found something.
Well, I think it was all I found was a 2-year from 2023 for Herbig.
Okay.
And that was or Herbig is signed a 2-year extension contract in 2023. So, but that can't be right.
No, that's got to be Nate Herbig.
This is the wrong.
Yeah, that's got to be his brother.
That is not the right.
Yeah,
that's not the right.
Because Nick Herbig's still on his rookie deal.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so that's a 4-year deal from his draft year, which he was the same class as Darnell Washington, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so that would be he's on his 3rd year.
About that one, so
yeah.
Okay, yeah, his contract runs through 2026.
Okay, yeah. So and I think Highsmith is the same time. I think. So to me, I I think it just should be a solid 3-man rotation. You don't want to play TJ Watt 99% of the snaps.
Right.
If you want him fresh and at his best, then he should probably only be playing like 75, 80%. So I think you just keep a healthy rotation between those guys. Of, if it's, let's say it's 80% snaps for TJ Watt, that 20% that he's not playing should be Nick Herbig.
Yeah.
And then you're not having to do 50% of the snaps for Highsmith and 50% for Herbig.
Right.
You can do 60% and 60% because they're also playing for backing up TJ.
Yeah.
So you're still getting a better dose than a complete 50-50 by having them get those extra snaps on the other side.
Yeah.
So I want to see some 3 linebacker sets, though. They did that a little bit already this season. We saw Jack Sawyer get his first NFL sack off of that kind of formation where he was on the same side as TJ. TJ got triple teamed. Jack went right in scot-free. Nobody even blocked him. There was another outside linebacker on the other side. I do not recall if it was Highsmith or Herbig on the play. But one of them was out there, which is what confused the offense so much. So I hope they draw some stuff like that up this week. I think that will be highly effective. And that's another way to get your 3 most talented pass rushers on the field more frequently.
That's what we're going to need, because that's where they can attack is the pass. When you've got the wide receiver room that they have.
Yeah.
And, yes, they're calling this, what did I hear from Steelers Depot? It was like the icy hot.
Yeah.
Like, that's so funny to me. But, Aaron Rodgers has been proving us wrong happily all season, and I don't want to take Joe Flacco lightly. I mean, he has played the Steelers. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He still has, a good arm on him. And so if he has any chance to connect with Jamar Chase, like, we have to be able to have our pass rushers there. So
absolutely. Yeah. And we saw that in a bad way last year when he came in at halftime for the Colts and absolutely torched us in the second half. So Joe Flacco still has that ability, and that was with the Colts wide receiver core.
Right.
And obviously he wasn't putting up the best numbers in Cleveland, but Cleveland's wide receiver core is nothing like what Cincinnati's is.
Correct.
But Cincinnati might have the worst offensive line in the NFL.
That's true, right? Can they hold long enough so that our linebackers aren't getting to Joe Flacco? But I'm like, if he even has a second to connect or throw it, if he's getting out quick passes where he can connect with those wide receivers, I think it might be tough for us.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful in our defense that they can protect. I mean, every week it's been getting better. Every week we see an improvement in the run defense. Every week we see an improvement in the pass defense and the pass rushing. And so, and I really think their run game has been non-existent. I think they did there was somewhat of a success because they had some toss sweeps. And I'm like, you will get eaten alive with our defense doing a toss sweep. And especially if they don't have I don't know who they would put at fullback for that, but I'm like, you are not going to survive doing that for any amount of the game. So I don't think they'll have any offensive success, especially since they won't be able to get their run going.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Honestly, Pittsburgh should hope that they go with heavy toss sweeps because that plays into the strengths of Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson.
Yes,
let them run and chase, and it's not going to be a good day for you offensively. So hopefully they come with that strategy at Pittsburgh. But
I hope
honestly, the way our run defense has played the last few weeks, and against honestly teams that are much better at running the football than what the Bengals are. I mean, the Browns have had a very effective run game thus far in the season, and Pittsburgh shut them down.
Yeah.
And they shut them down with all their starting offensive linemen and their starting running back and starting it. It wasn't like they were missing some guys, and that's why they couldn't run the ball.
Right.
Nope. They just ran against our starting defense instead of 4 guys out like people at the beginning of the season were going against. So could be a completely different game for them. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball for the Cincinnati Bengals now. On the defensive line, they're starting D tackles B.J. Hill and T.J. Slayton. Again, B.J. Hill on that injured list, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to go or not. Backup D tackles Chris Jenkins Jr. and Mike Pennell. Jenkins Jr. being the guy out of Michigan that I was a big fan of a couple of years ago, wanted Pittsburgh to draft They did not. He went to Cincinnati. I was mad about it, but he has not been he's not been crazy good for them. He's not cracking the starting lineup, and I want to say he was like a second or third round pick. So to be a backup defensive lineman a couple years into your career when you're a high draft pick means you're probably not as getting the results that they were hoping for. You're not being as productive. That's the word I was looking for.
There you go.
Starting D ends for them, Trey Hendrickson and Joseph Osai. Again, Trey Hendrickson just got injured in Sunday's game, has not practiced yet all week. So I think it's probably a little bit more likely that Miles Murphy will be the starting defensive end on that side. Shamar Stewart, their first-round pick, also could get the start if they feel like he's ready. I kind of doubt that. I feel like he's probably getting that reserve role. He was on the injured list as well. So they might be a little bit thin on their defensive ends, which could have some real possibilities for Pittsburgh as far as trying to exploit that. I'm also thinking that these defensive ends aren't the biggest dudes in the world. Yeah, Joseph Osai, 6'4", 263. That's not a real monster as far as a defensive end in a 4-3. Hendrickson doesn't matter. I don't know why I just clicked on Hendrickson. It's Joseph Osai that I need to see. And down a rabbit hole trying to get back there. All right.
Go ahead.
Miles Murphy.
Miles Murphy, got it.
Miles Murphy. Here we are, 6'5", 275. So Miles is a little bit bigger cat. So probably if you're going to run at the edges, you're probably going to try to run at Joseph Osai, being only 263 pounds. So you might go running at Broderick Jones and let him kind of take advantage of that matchup on that side where he's going to have a pretty serious size advantage. Although I don't think that's a disadvantage with Troy Fautanu on the other side. Not by any means. What's Darnell Washington going to do this game, right? I mean, it's probably going to be a heavy dose of Darnell again, and it should be. It should be. Until somebody can slow it down or stop it, it absolutely should be. So
I was going to say, it's been so successful, and we're seeing him getting more snaps each game and using in different ways, which I feel like we're finally utilizing offensive targets in creative ways that keeps a defense guessing. This defense that we're going up against is, I'll leave it at that. Again, this is, which I said this a couple weeks ago, this is the NFL. And so at any point during the game, they could come out and decide that they are going to be a real threat and just have a field day. Like they come out and totally shock us. Or if we go in with the mentality of their defense is trash, they're all banged up, we're going to have a great time, then we could lose the game because we're losing the mental battle. And we've seen Pittsburgh do that before. They've lost those, quote unquote trap games. Like they've done it before. And so I'm leery when I say the defense isn't that great, because at any point we could all forget how to play football and then lose on Thursday, which is not going to happen. But I am not a real Steelers fan unless I actually bring it up. So
that's fair. And while we're talking about that, Pittsburgh has yet to get a win on a Thursday night and on an away game against a division opponent.
2 wins out of the 9 or 9 losses. 2 wins, 9 losses.
Yeah, it's real bad. Real bad on Thursday nights on a short week when it's an away game. But the flip side.
But we did win in Foxborough, and we hadn't done that since 2008. So I am just.
And also the other flip side of it, Aaron Rodgers' record on Thursday night games is 9-1.
Oh, I like that record. Okay.
So we have a quarterback who's highly experienced and highly successful on Thursday night games. That kind of counteracts some of the issues that you might have had previously. I get that it can be very difficult to put an entire game plan in 4 days. To get that ready, to get everybody on the same page, to get enough practice in to make the differences in the calls that you're going to make this game versus another game. But you got a quarterback who's very good at doing it. So I think that gives you a much better chance than you would have had previously. Continuing on their defensive side, they've got 2 linebackers, 2 off-ball linebackers listed here as they're calling their nickel defense, their base defense. That being Logan Wilson and Demetrius Knight. Logan Wilson has had some very good games in the NFL. So he's a reason that I would be kind of surprised that their defense has played as poorly as it has. because he has had some big games and against us. So that is something that we should definitely have an eye on. Where is Logan Wilson? Make sure you know where he is. Pretty sure he's got some picks against some of these quarterbacks that we've been throwing out there as starting quarterbacks the last few years. The secondary, some big names. They're not putting big production up this year. The starting safeties, Geno Stone and Jordan Battle. Jordan Battle, a younger player, a higher draft pick. Again, I want to say he was a second or third round pick. Geno Stone a few years ago had like 7 or 8 picks in a year for the Ravens. Wow. So he does have on his resume very recently being highly productive, intercepting the ball, but I believe he's on the wrong side of 30 now. Probably why he's slowing down, not getting as much production as he was previously. Their nickel corner, again, another safety playing corner. This is Dax Hill, another Michigan guy. Expected to be a first-round pick. He might have ended up going in the second round. So there's some pretty serious resumes as far as high draft picks in this secondary. Starting corners, Cam Taylor, Britt, and DJ Turner II. Both guys have had good games in the NFL also. So if you look at just the names and the resumes of these guys, they've all had good games or very good college games or careers at certain points, just not putting it together. So I would agree with you 100%. It's very important not to underestimate this team, just because they have been kind of a laughing stock and a team that a lot of teams are putting a lot of points up on. Their defense just not playing well doesn't mean that this week they won't.
Right.
There are some very good defensive players on this team, maybe some suspect ones as well, but there are some guys that have played at a very elite level, both in college and in the pros. So not to be an underestimated group by any means.
Not at all. Oh, and especially when we're still trying to reach for the longer yards for passing, instead of those short yards, and we're running for 80 yards after. Thank you, DK. I will forever love that play. But, I think this past game, Aaron did a better job. I think it was like around the average of 7 yards instead of 3 or 4 that he was getting. So we're heading in the right direction, but that secondary might pose a threat to that stat going in the upward direction. So
absolutely. So special teams for the Bengals before we move on here to our keys to success and score predictions, which is right around the corner now. The kicker for the Cincinnati Bengals, Evan McPherson, the holder and punter are going to be Ryan Reckow. Long snapper, William Wagner. Hopefully they have a backup long snapper ready this time around.
I see no one for their backup, but
I don't see one. Hopefully they've practiced someone. It's a very important position, the backup long snapper. Very important.
Very important.
Punt return and kick return duties. The starter listed as Charlie Jones with the backup as Jermaine Burton. So those are both wide receivers. So we're going to have some speed back there on kick return. But not big dudes, which means if you put a hit on them and you're a linebacker, it could look like a much bigger hit than it might look when it's a running back that's a return man. So look for Carson Bruner and Jack Sawyer to really blow these guys up if they get some clean hits on them. So interesting as far as their special teams always as well. So anything that you would like to add about their roster before we move on to our keys to success for today's game or tomorrow's game?
Oh, I know, right? That's no, I think we're good.
Very cool. So we're going to get Nick's keys to success as he was unable to join us and knew that far enough in advance. This was kind of a last second thing for Cody. Something came up. So we're hoping everything's okay for Cody. But as far as Nick, he did send us his 2 keys for success for the game. So we're going to allow him to get both of his first picks here as we don't have any backup ones for him. So Nick's first key to success is going to be to hold Jamar Chase to under 15 targets and under 10 receptions. In the games that they've been successful for, the number has been higher on both of those. So Nick's looking at that as a key. Hold him to less targets so that he's not open. Hold him to less receptions so that he's not torching you. I agree. If he's getting 10 or more receptions in the game, that means he probably beat you for at least 1 touchdown, if not more. So I think that's a really good key to success for him on that.
Yeah.
His second one, have 5 offensive plays of 20-plus yards.
I love it.
Got to, right?
Uh-huh.
This is a secondary that's got some holes in it. So if you can beat them deep, you're gonna back them off, which is gonna really help out with the run game.
Yep.
I like both of his keys to success in this game. Those are excellent in my opinion. I'm gonna let you go first on this, Jill, and then I'll take the middle two and let you go. Unless you just want to alternate, we can do that too. It doesn't really matter. It's just the two of us.
Right. So it's all good. I think my first key to success is we have to have a dominant run game. I'd like to see at least 150 yards rushing. That is in addition to whatever lovely passing would happen with Nick's keys to success. But I think if we set that up to this defensive line that seems to just be falling apart at the seams, we will be extremely successful and come out with a W.
Absolutely love that. That would be the first time this season if Pittsburgh's able to get above 150 yards rushing. But they have the capability.
Right.
The run game just keeps looking better and better every week.
Right. And I think last week was 130.
I want to say it was 100 on the dot last week and 130 the week before with the big game from Gainwell.
Too many. They all blur together at this point.
They do. But it was a very successful game for Jaylen Warren. He was up over 5 yards a carry, I believe, in last week's game. So real nice to see him not only back healthy, but very productive in doing so.
And all three running backs were a part of the used in the game last week, which I think will continue to grow the run game. I'd like to see that more.
Absolutely. My first one I'm going to go with here is going to be something that is going to sound real familiar to folks who've been paying close attention to the Steelers-Bengals rivalry the last couple of years.
Ooh.
I'm going to go Pat Freiermuth. Pat has absolutely owned the Bengals the last couple of seasons. So I'm going to say Pat Freiermuth needs at least 6 receptions in this game. He will be open. They have a very tough time covering him for some reason. I think they're going to be so worried about just not getting absolutely bludgeoned that a matchup like him is going to be the last thing on their minds. They're going to be worried about DK. They're going to be worried about who in the world is going to attempt to cover Darnell Washington. Because that is just a matchup nightmare for anyone. I think if Pat Freiermuth is out there as much as he should be, get him 35, 40 snaps again, get him back to a little heavier involvement in this offense. I think he could absolutely blow up in this game as he has done many times before. So 6+ catches for Pat Freiermuth is my first key.
I like it.
How about you go with your second one? So it gives me a second to write that down.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind.
Yes. Okay. I think we need to play clean football and make sure that no penalties. Well, that's bold to say no penalties, but
give them a couple.
Right. Give them a couple because we all know they're heated and it's an AFC game. And so there's bound to be some penalties and some, hot-blooded reactions or hot-headed reactions, I should say.
Sure.
But playing clean football, just getting in, getting your job done, and not getting penalized. Luckily for us, we still outplayed all of the penalties that were awarded to us. Warranted or not, I will say we have been, and I don't know where with this game against the Browns where it puts us now in the NFL, but we were in the top 2, right, for least penalized teams, which as a Steeler fan is honestly shocking because typically the refs are out to get us. And so it felt more like a real NFL game last week when I'm like, here we go again with the reffing nonsense, but just doing your job and doing it cleanly so that there is no question of like, oh, that was questionable. And so making sure that you're doing a clean job and that will win us the game.
I like it. If you had to put a number, where do you want to keep their penalties under? Is it less than 5? Is it less than 3? What do you think?
I want less than 3.
Okay. No more than
3
penalties. I like it. That's a clean football game. There's no doubt about that. So. All right. That leads me to my second key to success. So I'm going to go over to the defensive side of things on this. Okay. And I am going to say that we've got a really nice pattern going on here with recent wins and sacking the quarterback.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go back to that well, just like our linebackers and corners and defensive linemen have all been doing for us recently. And I'm going to say another 6+ sack performance for the Steelers.
I like it.
It's going to make people really look twice and think hard about how do we stop this pass rushing attack that the Steelers have. That would be 3 weeks in a row of 5, 6 or more sacks. So that's where I'm going to go with the number is 6+ sacks for the entire Steelers defense this upcoming week.
Okay.
And I think we get a W if we do that because Joe Flacco is just going to be going out of his mind.
Well, that will make my bold prediction for 50 for the year. It's looking better and better each week.
It does. I mean, 20 sacks after 5 games, I would say they're on pace, right?
That's on pace.
I mean, even if we just call it 15 games instead of 17 games, it would be exactly 50.
Yeah.
So they're on pace to bust that wide open.
Let's go.
You're one of the only ones that has a chance on any of your preseason predictions.
I know. Well, listen, TJ still, I think one of his sacks, they only gave him a half sack for it, which makes me sad, but whatever, it's fine.
They might not have a choice this week, especially if they just give him single coverage as far as blocking. He's going to be all over Joe Flacco like a new coat.
Truly, like that O-line is going to have such a hard time because even if you put people with like you double team and you triple team TJ, then you're going to leave Highsmith or Herbig open. And that's not going to go well for Joe Flacco. But then you double team over, like they're not going to have the option. And so it's going to be a lot of quick releases because those guys are coming for Flacco. Yeah.
And it looks like they're probably going to have a backup left guard starting. So once again, we've got a nice favorable matchup for Cam Hayward. The last time a team had a backup left guard starting, they actually switched him and Keanu Benton around a lot, and Keanu Benton ended up registering a sack and a half that game. So that left guard spot is something that Pittsburgh is very comfortable with attacking when there's a backup there. And the other 2 starters, I just don't think they're all that great of starters. So that interior of the line is probably going to be trying a lot of one-on-ones versus Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, and Derek Harmon. And that just spells disaster for Joe Flacco with that kind of pressure coming right up the middle. So I think it could be a real fun day for Steelers fans watching the pressure that this defensive front is able to produce.
Amen.
So on to score predictions for the game, Jill. And unfortunately, I don't think we have a score prediction from Nick. I'll double check with the note, but I don't believe he gave us a score prediction. It doesn't look like it. No, we don't have one from Cody either, unfortunately. So it's just you and me on score predictions this week. I'll let you go first.
Before we do a score prediction,
yes,
where I'd like to, eventually watch a game that my score prediction would come true is our lovely sponsor. That was not as smooth as Nick or Cody, but I really tried. Okay.
No, that was excellent. I was so focused on trying to do the job of 2 people, I almost forgot. So well done. So supporters of Steelers by the Lake include the Edinburgh Hotel Bar at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh, providing a variety of lunch and dinner items every day, along with the full service catering and private party accommodations. Details are available at 814-734-5103 or online at edinburghhotelbar.com. The Edinburgh Hotel Bar, where you had me at hotel.
Awesome. Great job. I can't wait to go back one day.
One day.
I had a great time when I was there years ago, but so. All right, score prediction.
Yes.
I feel like it's so hard because the last time I predicted a high score, they disappointed me. So I'm afraid to predict a high score, but I feel like we have all the pieces that our offense could just absolutely have a day. And so I think it's going to be 27-10 with us winning.
27-10 with a big victory for the Steelers. I like where you're going on that. I also like that what was in my head is not what you went with because it was dead close last week. We were a point away from each other last week prediction, so I didn't want it to be as vanilla, especially with the 2 of us being the only hosts on today's show. So I'm going big on points.
Oh.
I think Pittsburgh is going to put up 34 points in this game with 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals.
Okay.
Hopefully the turf's in good condition so Boswell doesn't get any blemishes for no good reason. I'm going to say Flacco's going to get a couple touchdowns off, and they're going to put up 17. So I've got us doubling them at 34-17 and a Pittsburgh Steelers win.
I like it.
So that's our predictions. Feel free to drop your predictions in the comments below or your keys to success. Feel free to like and comment on this on YouTube or anywhere where you find podcasts. We had 9 likes on the last show on YouTube. So really appreciate every single one of you. A lot of new subscribers on YouTube recently. So appreciate those of you from the Gressos family who decided to join us on YouTube, even on Twitter. So every single one of you, we appreciate very much. Jill, you want to get us out of here?
Yeah, make sure to leave a 5-star review, though, because that makes James very happy. So thank you so much for listening to Steelers by the Lake. We hope that you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. As Cody says, like and ring the bell. It's free. Leaving the 5-star review. Leave all your comments for the score predictions and your keys to success. And we will see you next time. Go Steelers.
Peace.